competition that's a must-see. Monday on a new smash after The Voice on NBC.
Live from Local 2, home of click2houston.com. This is KPRC Local 2 News at 10.
Tonight, a Local 2 investigation. We have discovered inmates at a local jail were being supplied with cable TV porn. Where this happened and who let it happen coming up.
Plus, a man shocked with a police taser dies in Galveston, leaving his family with a lot of questions and a lot of anger. They're talking about it tonight only on Local 2.
And it's the trial every Houstonian remembers. What we've learned about the Susan Wright TV movie airing this week, plus details about a shocking email sent to the convicted murderer from the Dr. Phil show. But first, we have breaking news in Southwest Houston, where a toddler sadly has been hit by a car. Good evening and thanks for joining us. I'm Bill Baessa.
I'm Dominique Soxa. A driver backed over that 18-month-old girl on Bissonnet and Rampart not once, but twice.
We first brought you this story as breaking news on our broadcast at 6 o'clock, but since then we have been told the toddler's condition has worsened. Local 2 reporter Ryan Korsgaard is live on the scene. Ryan, how is she?
Police told us very critical condition as they left tonight. They said that she was fighting for her life. Let me walk you through what happened. It involved this car right over here, this gray car. We're told the driver was actually backing out of here. The first officer who responded said that that child was hit not just once, but twice. The woman driving this Nissan Sentra was headed to work when she felt a bump. Police say she stopped her car and got out, unsure of just what she had hit. We're told she saw nothing, then got back into her car and continued to back up. That's when she got out and then discovered the child, not the cat she first thought she had hit.
She backed out and ran over what she thought was a cat. She got out. She found out it was a one-year-old child. She immediately went to go get her husband.
They called 911. An ambulance rushed the 18-month-old girl named Aliyah Melgar from Spring Forest Apartments to Memorial Hermann Southwest. Her injuries were so serious that she was then flown by air ambulance to Memorial Hermann in the Med Center. The driver stayed at the apartment complex.
She was very hysterical. She was obviously she's still upset at this time. She's cooperating fully with us.
Police say little Aliyah's aunt was babysitting when the little girl was run over. Police say this accident is a reminder to look both ways when you back up.
It was dark, and whenever you're in a complex, especially where there are children around, you want to be extra careful when you do back a vehicle up. We've had several incidents similar to this in the past, and outcome is not generally very good.
Police tell us they are talking to the driver of this car, also talking to that aunt who was babysitting. We're live in Southwest Houston. Ryan Korsgaard, KPRC Local 2.
Okay, Ryan, thank you. Investigators say they do not expect charges to be filed in this case. They say there was no sign of intoxication in the driver, and that driver did agree to a voluntary blood test.
Tonight, Local 2 investigates pornography on cable TV being watched night after night by inmates in a county jail near Houston. It's been happening in Liberty County. That is the same jail that's holding several of the men accused in a gang rape of a schoolgirl that made national headlines. Local 2 investigator Stephen Dean uncovered this. And Stephen, you've learned that jailers have known for months that inmates were watching porn inside lockup.
Well, that's right, Dominique. In fact, internal jail security logs have mentioned it for months here at this lockup over and over again. The county judge says the plug should have been pulled immediately. He says it's just not right that some of those gang rape suspects may have been among the inmates here watching nightly porno shows. Tension has been building at the Liberty County Jail for months, one corrections officer tells us, because of what inmates were watching on TV for hours every night.
The inmates had somehow been able to manipulate the system and were actually watching at their own leisure pornographic material. Jailers tell Local 2 investigates it started last year, and internal emails mention the inmates watching inappropriate programs last month. Managers writing, "We need these issues resolved ASAP." And that's just unacceptable in an incarcerated environment. But the porn didn't stop. On February 3rd, a jailer's log says 4-dorm watching porno channel again. And on February 6th, the jailer again wrote one of the TVs had porn on it, told them to change the channel. It can certainly generate fights. One inmate told us there were a lot of fights on the cell block because of that nightly porno viewing. A second inmate says some of the guards even allowed it. A third inmate says it made
made the showers into hell.
What about your sex offenders that are in there? And are you enticing them by allowing that?
17-year prison worker Mary Ann Denner teaches college classes on corrections, and she says it ramps up the tension behind bars.
If you're watching this, you're not able to go out and get a woman, what's next in the prison? Who else but another offender?
Only after Local 2 Investigates asked for jail records did the jail porno shows finally stop. Liberty County Judge Craig McNair told us he was furious that it went on for so long. At first, the cable company told the judge it was impossible that inmates could be viewing porn. So Judge McNair threatened to disconnect all the cable at the jail. Then the cable company admitted it was happening, and the plug was pulled on the jailhouse porn shows for good.
The cable company is working with us, and they've resolved the problem, and any future problems that we may experience, they have certainly guaranteed us that there will be a much more immediate response.
Now, the warden of this jail told us that he doesn't think that any of those gang rape suspects or any other violent offenders actually had access to watch any of this porn, but some of the jailers here and the county judge are not so sure. Now, the private company that runs this jail, they issued a statement tonight blaming the cable company for the delay in pulling the plug. We're live at the Liberty County Jail. Stephen Dean, KPRC Local 2.
Now, state regulators from the Texas Commission on Jail Standards also got involved, saying that jailhouse porn could have opened up Liberty County to lawsuits. You can read more on the state agency's reaction to what we found on the homepage of click2houston.com.
Tonight we're looking into a man's death in Galveston. His family says it started with him planning a romantic night with his wife and ended with an encounter with an officer's taser. Well, that man died today, days after the incident, and tonight his family is talking only to Local 2 about it. Local 2 reporter Jennifer Bauer joining us live in Galveston with the story. Jennifer?
You know, Raymond Allen's family says yesterday was his wedding anniversary, and he had planned to stay at this motel here behind me with his wife. But tonight, the Allen family is planning his funeral.
He couldn't respond. He didn't respond at all.
Raymond Allen Sr. says his son, Raymond Allen Jr., was in bad shape when he saw him in the hospital on Monday. This is a photo of the 34-year-old husband and father who died today, 2 days after his family says he was roughed up by police in Galveston.
He was tasered, from what I hear, 2-3 different times. Hog-tied.
Allen Sr. couldn't describe his son's injuries without getting choked up.
I can't do this. I'm sorry.
He asked us to stop the interview. His family is now looking for answers. Witnesses tell Local 2 Allen Jr. had rented a room at this Galveston motel. People next door at the Waffle House say they saw Allen Jr. jump from the second floor balcony. A worker at the motel tells us he jumped twice, and that's when the cops showed up. The family gave us this copy of the incident report. The crime listed is resisting arrest. Galveston police do confirm tasers were used on Allen, but they won't say how many. Investigators also tell us his behavior that afternoon was very erratic. They say Allen Jr. stopped breathing here at the scene, was revived, and then rushed to UTMB Galveston. 48 hours later, his family says they took him off life support.
We know what they did was wrong. You know, we can't do nothing about it right now, but we're going to try to get to the bottom of it.
And investigators tell us toxicology tests were done here at the scene, but the results are not back yet from the state lab. We're live in Galveston tonight. Jennifer Bauer, KPRC Local 2.
Jennifer, thank you. Because both the Galveston County Police Department and the Sheriff's Office responded to this incident, the Texas Department of Public Safety is now handling the investigation to avoid any conflict of interest.
New at 10 tonight, a killer executed. He was part of the group that terrorized Texas, breaking out of prison, robbing a Pearland store, and even killing an Irving officer before being caught. Now tonight, 41-year-old George Rivas, the infamous leader of the notorious Texas 7, has just been put to death by lethal injection. Rivas killed 29-year-old Officer Aubrey Hawkins during a robbery 2 weeks after pulling off the biggest prison break in Texas history back in December 2000. Appeals finally ran out for Rivas, and the Texas Board of Pardons and Paroles rejected a clemency petition. So tonight, in front of several witnesses, including his own wife, he was put to death in Huntsville.
He began mouthing several times to his wife, "I love you, I love you.
I'll be waiting for you. I love you, God bless." and I'm ready to go.
During their violent crime spree, this gang committed several robberies, including that store in Pearland. One committed suicide before the group was captured in Colorado. The other 6 received death sentences. Rivas is the second one to be executed.
Now to a developing story in the Midwest where the death toll is now up to 12 from a series of deadly storms. Then we're hearing that there could be more dangerous weather tomorrow. Now the death toll rose as storms and high winds ripped through parts of the Tennessee Valley this afternoon, killing 3 more people. That storm destroyed homes, downed trees, and reported power outages, especially in the Smithville, Tennessee area. Now, across the Midwest, at least 20 funnel clouds were reported to have touched down. The storm hit several states, but the worst destruction was in Harrisburg, Illinois, where 6 people were killed in an EF4 tornado. 3 others were killed in Missouri. In Kansas, cleanup from the storm is already underway tonight. Authorities fear the death toll could rise across the Midwest as people dig through the debris. Well, everybody's going to be on high alert tomorrow at Cy Creek High School.
According to a threatening note found at that school, tomorrow marks the day for an alleged attack. The note found in a girls' bathroom stall says that the attack will take place sometime tomorrow between 7 a.m. and 2 p.m. The note reads in part, quote, "I'm going to kill everyone in the school and cut them open and take their hearts and brains out on the date of March 1st, 2012.
And deputies are also investigating another threatening note, this time at Langham Creek High School. Deputies say they were called on campus yesterday after a teacher found a threatening note and a drawing in the trash. Investigators are questioning a student believed to be behind that threat.
Well, we saw it all unfold right here in Houston. Now the rest of the world is going to see it on the small screen. The Susan Wright case, now the focus of a made-for-TV movie. Local 2 investigator Joel Eisenbaum has a fresh look at the murder that dominated headlines. Joel?
Dominique, it was a cold-blooded murder and a sensational trial, but even as one TV network gets ready to air its version of those dramatic events, Local 2 Investigates has learned about a new layer to this story. Still ahead tonight, the email sent to Susan Wright about her children that some are saying is just plain cruel.
And does March arrive like a lion or a lamb? It comes in warm for sure. How long that lasts, straight ahead.
Thank you, Frank. But first, a local neighborhood targeted time and time again, and these are the guys police say are behind the crime spree. What they're accused of doing at least a dozen times in just a matter of hours. Coming up next on Local 2 News at 10.
During severe weather, no station has more ways to keep you informed than Local 2. On air.
We're already seeing flooded streets across the area.
Special alerts and live streams on clicktohouston.com.
Continuing our severe weather coverage.
Follow us on Twitter and like our Facebook page to have updates delivered to you. Plus, the true difference maker, justweather.com. Track live radar in the area you live, lightning strikes, and more. No one has more ways to keep you informed than Local 2.
Real-time closed captioning of Local 2 News is sponsored in part by Jack's Carpet, the Superfloor store.
Okay, so if I win, we do drive-through. Fine. Rock, paper, scissors. What is that? It's a magic wand. It beats everything. Lunch inside. No, that's cheating. It's magical. Magic is not part of this game. Although if we don't...
It's decided. McDonald's is the place for lunch. Right now, get a quarter pounder with cheese, medium fries, and a medium Coke for only $5.29. It's the simple joy of satisfying everyone.
1, 2, 3, and sound. See, you're not listening.
It's Ford Truck Month, and Bill here just added another Ford Super Duty to the team. You see, Super Duty offers best-in-class payload, towing, and fuel economy, not Chevy or Dodge. So Bill gets more work done and puts more money in his wallet, not the gas tank. And that's called life in the Stampede. Now during Truck Month, get up to $5,500 total savings on Super Duty. See your local Ford dealer and join the Stampede.
Like that? Yeah, I just love the HD video and the access to thousands of apps on this iPhone.
But are we going to have reliable coverage on the go?
Of course, Mama. It's Verizon.
Yeah.
Great, we'll take 2. I have life too, you know.
Nothing should come between you and the phone you really want, especially the network it's running on. America's largest and most reliable network, plus global coverage for your iPhone. Verizon.
This is awesome.
There are over 358 million trillion gallons of water on Earth. But not all water is created equal. Only 1/1000000000% is filtered naturally beneath the Earth. with a distinct balance of minerals and emerges crisp and refreshing enough to be called Ozarka. Ozarka 100% natural spring water, born better.
You're watching Local 2 News at 10.
Deputies are telling us that the quick actions of a Katy man led to the arrest of 2 suspected thieves who could be connected to a dozen car burglaries. Investigators say a man noticed somebody rummaging through his car at 2:45 in the morning on River Place Drive. He confronted them and then he called 911. So moments later, deputies found 21-year-old Stephen Johnson and then 20 minutes later arrested 18-year-old Caleb Greer. Deputies say Johnson had a backpack filled with stolen items. Both are in jail tonight, charged with burglary of a vehicle.
Tomorrow, jurors are going to return to deliberate whether R. Allen Stanford is guilty of stealing $7 billion from investors in a Ponzi scheme. Prosecutors say he lied and pocketed investors' money. The defense is blaming Stanford's ex-CFO, James Davis, for the alleged fraud. Stanford is facing 14 counts ranging from wire and mail fraud to conspiracy. If convicted, he could face more than 20 years in prison.
It was a case with shocking testimony and jaw-dropping images. This reenactment by prosecutor Kelly Siegler, just one of the sites that had Houstonians glued to the trial of Susan Wright. Well, now that case we all lived through is a television movie.
And just days before the air date, we've learned about a disturbing email sent to Susan Wright by producers from the Dr. Phil show. Local 2 investigator Joel Eisenbaum has those details and a look back at the case that's captivated Houstonians.
This was a divorce by homicide. To tie him up, to stab him to death. She's this person that can be this chameleon that can change.
She doesn't dispute that she stabbed her husband a staggering 193 times. And she doesn't dispute she buried him behind the carport of their Northwest Harris County home.
Part of the back of the head and the left arm were exposed.
But what drove Susan Wright to do it? Was she a battered woman? A young mother who could no longer sit idly by as her husband, Jeffrey, abused her and their 2 kids? Or was Susan Wright just a cold, calculating killer?
All right, folks, watch out.
The splashy trial in February and March of 2004 was covered breathlessly in the local media and even made national headlines. But in the end, for the jury, it boiled down to a single essential point.
They faced the question of whether or not Susan acted in self-defense or in defense of her 2 children.
We, the jury, find the defendant, Susan Lucille Wright, guilty of murder.
In 2010, lawyer and Local 2 legal analyst Brian Weiss was successful in appealing Wright's prison sentence from 25 to 20 years. He says he's never seen a case quite like this one.
This is a made-for-TV movie waiting to be produced.
I think I did something awful.
Later this week, the Lifetime Network will air a movie called The Blue-Eyed Butcher, based on Susan Wright's case.
Let's do it.
And just this past weekend, Local 2 Investigates has learned a producer with the Dr. Phil show contacted Wright by email, requesting an interview to see how she was coping with the death of her children. A curious question, since her children aren't dead.
That's the cruelest damn thing you could ever tell anybody, is that their loved ones have been killed.
Susan Wright, incarcerated near Waco and now 35 years old, has no legal rights to her children, ages 13 and 10. They were adopted by one of Jeff Wright's family members, and we're told she rarely sees them. But by all accounts, she loves them, misses them, and lives for them. Hearing erroneous news of their deaths and not knowing any better for days, according to our source in the prison system, was agonizing. Kevin Conboy, Jeff Wright's friend, labels it just another bizarre chapter in a heartbreaking case.
They're the ones who truly lose. I mean, they lost a mother and they lost a father.
Susan Wright will be eligible for parole in 2014. As for that email she received over the weekend, we asked folks at the Dr. Phil show what happened, why the mistake. A representative told us, quote, a junior producer reached out to inquire about Miss Wright's availability for an upcoming show. There was an inadvertent mistake in the body of the email. We sincerely regret the error. So clearly they're saying it was not a ploy just to get her on the show.
I don't want to make too light of this, but our friend Brian Weiss, of course, is hoping that he's played by Tom Cruise or somebody. Really
not quite, not quite.
Do we know who the actors and actresses are?
We got a couple of the big ones. We got the list of the big ones. Susan Wright will apparently be played by an actress by the name of Sarah Paxton. We're hearing Jeff Wright will be played by actor Justin Bruning. He's a longtime soap star, so he's got some name recognition. And the prosecutor in the case, Kelly Siegler, will be played by Lisa Edelstein.
Well, it will be interesting nonetheless. Thank you, Joel.
Thanks, Joel.
And you can hear from the actress who plays Susan Wright tomorrow. Our live interview with Sarah Paxton is on our midday news, which starts at 11 a.m.
And starring Frank Billingsley tonight, well, it's Frank Billingsley.
Yeah, why
How
not?
about that?
I'll play myself best. Fog once again, and a warm start to March, that's for sure, but it's not going to last. Here's a look outside. You can see already those low clouds in place across the city. Shouldn't have too many problems inland, but already there are advisories down along the coast. We're at 70. This may be a record warm night overnight, by the way. There's that dense fog advisory until 10 o'clock tomorrow morning, right along the coast. Pretty much what you've been seeing all week long, you're going to see again tomorrow. Another murky morning. Cloudy and warm for lunchtime, then the sun in the afternoon drives it into the 80s. Half a mile visibility right now down in the Galveston area. 5 miles in Wharton, a little better in the Houston area. Temperatures, by the way, were record setters in Galveston today, 78. We made it to 84, which was 1 degree below the record 85. There you have it, 72 right now, and we're only going to go down into the upper 60s overnight, if that. 100% humidity in Galveston, no surprise there. Winds out of the south, 5-8, 12 miles an hour, so they're fairly light and won't break up that fog down there, it doesn't look like, but probably not strong enough to send too much our way. I did want to point out this line of storms, that was the tornado maker that moved across Kansas, right through Missouri and into Illinois. You can see I'll put this into motion. And there it goes right along, and that was a pretty tough storm. There's another one on the way that for us will bring a chance of rain on Friday, but it doesn't look like it's going to do a whole lot for our area, but it may be a real troublemaker for the southeast. My models right now want to put the heaviest storms with this next front in here back over parts of North Mississippi, Alabama, Tennessee. So another tornado outbreak on Friday for those folks in the southeast at least is a possibility. For us though, 10 a.m., line of showers continues to move along, but you see the heavy stuff misses us. And then we're in for a very nice weekend and cooler at that. Here's your forecast. 66 to start, 77 at noon, 82 by 3 p.m. So starts out warm, it stays warm, gets warmer. Friday pretty much the same. That line of showers for Friday is only about a 20% chance as far as really any rain pulling in here. Windy conditions for Saturday. Sunday's a nice day. Look at those cool downs, 70 and 72. Monday into Tuesday looks pretty good as we start to warm up again toward next Wednesday with a 30% chance for a shower. Looking for a beautiful weekend.
Wonderful, Frank.
Right.
Thank you. Great news. Okay, so he was a musician, an actor, and a teen heartthrob. Coming up, how Hollywood is mourning the loss of Davy Jones.
And night 2 of the rodeo belonged to a singer who wants to be a cowboy, baby. You're going to hear some of Kid Rock's performance coming up next.
That Naval Reserve there.
When other communities claim to have more, you have to ask yourself, do they really?
You don't announce an event like this with balloons and confetti. Toyota Truck Month. Save huge on a new 2012 Tundra Crewmax Texas Edition. Get 0% APR for 60 months plus $2,000 cash back for a total savings of over $8,000.
From the creators of Despicable Me.